Welcome to this episode of the $1 Million Mastermind. I'm Larry Weidel, and before we get started, if you want to know exactly how to win again and again, go to weidelonwinning.com/webinar now to watch something I've put together for you. Now let's get going into this episode of $1 Million Mastermind. I'm talking with Chris Achong, and he's up in Brooklyn, New York right now, if I'm correct. Is that right, Chris?
Yes, sir. We're in Brooklyn.
Yeah, and you're in your art gallery up there, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a fun place to hang out here, but we use it as an office/gallery.
Yeah. Is that your one of your paintings there behind you?
Yes, one of my earlier paintings. I just, I have my style has developed over the years, but this is I like to keep some of my old stuff. Look at where I came from, so to speak, and this piece has actually been sold before, and the person never came back for it. About it. They paid for it, completely.
They bought it for you.
I think they moved to another state or moved to another country or something like that. I don't know.
Well, now, when if we'll do this, but if people want to see your artwork, like your current work and whatever, do you have it on a website now, or you have an Instagram where you post your stuff, or where do they find you?
When you run into business, you don't know it.
Okay, so
gallery's under minervagallery.org, actually, yeah.
minervagallery.org. Okay, good. And so let's talk about, you've done a lot of different things in your life. You travel a lot. And one thing that I know you're good at is staying focused. So talk about what you've learned about mastering distractions.
Yeah, it's a day, I think the modern day self-improvement is your ability to deal with stress and the day-to-day things. It's not really the big stuff that we used to look at before, just your ability to deal with that. And so on a day-to-day basis, things go wrong, especially, one of the biggest issues is people problems. We always have people problems when you're building a business. If you have a plan of getting big, there's always going to, have some sort of objections, some sort of challenge every day that happens, and your ability to deal with these problems and not get overwhelmed by it. So I always tell people, whatever problem you're dealing with is about 0.5% of what your real business is. And the reason I say it like that is because even if you focused on the problem, you might find a solution or you might not find a solution, but still business need to continue, keep going. And so over the years, just some, watching so many people grow and so many people build businesses, I've seen that most of the problems, some of them, about probably 70-80% can't go away immediately. But what we can do is focus on putting things in place that it never happens again. And so, it's a strategy that, that sometimes in business, solutions, hard to come by, but we can put, roadblocks in place that these problems don't continue, keep coming in. You were making the point, most problems don't go away quickly. And so there's two things about that. You've got to find ways to stay on track, but also while you're solving that problem, you got it in the back of your mind, what can I do to make sure we don't get down this road again? Because is one thing to have a problem, it's another thing to continue to have a problem. And successful people figure out solutions. You really can't learn a business without having problems that you didn't know could actually happen. But when you run into it, that tells you, oh, here is the next phase of what I've got to learn about this business. I not only have to solve this problem, I've got to learn how to operate in a way where this is very unlikely to come up again. And that's what I had in I don't know where I got the idea, Chris, but I got the same idea early in my business. It's like, I'd like the system to eliminate most of my problems in advance. It's like making sales. You're a good sales or a great sales presentation, let's say, you handle the objections, they're going to, most people don't buy because of whatever arena it is, 1, 2, 3, 4 at the most primary objections. And usually it's 1 or 2. And if you can hammer those down during the course of your presentation,
they're not going to be asking that. They're going to be like idiots to ask that at the end because you already answered it. And so even if they do, it's just a matter of reminding them. Remember, we said so and so. They go, oh yeah. And so you, in the same way, your system, your flow of activities and ways you go about making sales, dealing with customers, solving problems, that flow can, it's like a flow, your faucet out there in the yard, you can spray in whatever direction you want, that'll create the least problems, And so when did this come to you? This idea of not just solving problems, but using that as a key to how we need to improve our system.
What I noticed is really wasn't the problem, is how I was dealing with the problem. So the stress of problems throws you off the game. So let's say, I always tell my leaders or the people that work in the company, that's a fender bender. Don't crash the car because you got a fender bender. Keep the car, keep going. Don't shut down the factory because there's a little problem. Continue to keep going, continue to keep pushing. Obviously we have to fix this problem, but we got to keep the factory going. And everything is a consequence. So there's consequences of everything. So, we didn't realize that we needed to have a lot more capital. So we should have fixed that in the beginning, where we had a lot more capital in place. For instance, in our business, or, in a lot of different types of businesses I had, we needed to have a lot more money saved up and accumulated. So when we did run into a problem, which was going to come, that we're better able to take care of it. And so I've always just been, let's overdo, let's have more. Let's say we had to shut down for a week or 2 or 3, which has happened in my career. Can we find, do we have the resources to get back on? And so, that's drastic, but whenever income, we've always focused on cash flow in businesses. And the minute, I probably had maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 businesses, outside of my main companies that fell apart because of cash flow. And so we're constantly always working on cash flow. I think right now, the majority of our companies that we have right now is creating a constant cash flow. And we're just looking for something else that, could create a constant cash flow. So we don't have that problem. When it does come, we're able to just kind of go, okay, this was expected.
Now, how did you get your gallery, and how did you get into that? Have you always done painting?
I did all my life. I kind of painted when I was a kid, and draw and stuff like that. I remember using what's it called? Acrylic. Just the cheap stuff, the oil pastels.
Right. Yeah,
that was what I could afford back then. But then at 21, and I always challenge people to do this. That was my passion, art. But I got into art after I made money. Just to be clear, some people go, well,
right.
Is the business, it hasn't been as successful to me as I'd like it to be. We've sold a ton of work, but we opened up in 2009, so we're still going.
So what you found was, if you overdo while things are running normally, you basically get ahead of the game and you create a cushion to handle the bumps, right? When did you learn to do that?
It's because I've always ran out of capital early on in my career. And so we learned that, really quickly, because we realized that, the strength of the business is based on how much you have set aside and your ability to just consistently keep that cash flow. It was probably, I would say, when I was like 22 years old, that we realized that we had to, fight a little bit harder. We had to keep a little bit more extra edge for ourselves. So like you were talking about the gallery earlier, right. My strategy was, I didn't want to stop, and I never stopped till I still haven't stopped. I don't care what comes in. I still wake up 5:30, 6 o'clock every morning. Some mornings I wake up 4 o'clock. I'll have my best. I think last month was my best income month in business, and and we still woke up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, Granted, I don't work all day like I used to before, but I'll make sure I get up and I get things done. So there's a lot of accountability.
And so you're 22 years old, and you're starting to learn lessons. Isn't it great to be in a position where you can start to learn these lessons early in your life, and you can learn them from yourself? It's one thing to be told this, because we're all told, save money, have a cushion, this, that, and the other. But when you learn it for yourself, then it's your lesson. And then you find yourself telling other people about it. It's like, also you keep yourself on track when otherwise, if you didn't know that, you would be out there spending the money, and it's like, I've got some left. Why worry about it? But it's like bumps in the road. You're always going to have bumps financially, and in business, they can knock you out permanently. And if you're the leader, that's just one of the things you think about, thinking ahead, looking down the road. And so how did it happen? Well, I'm getting distracted myself, but this whole thing of mastering distractions, you find it pretty much comes in around money most of the time, managing money, people problems?
It's money, and some is just dealing with emotions, concerned about what people think, or, arguments or fights or disagreements. So, there's your ability to get along with people, really kind of. So I've made a decision to get along with people. And once you make that decision, then you have to find ways, especially if you have, like we have tons of people in our business that, that they make a pretty good living. They make, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand a month. So getting these people to sometimes get along is a challenge, not necessarily to agree 100% of the time. So I guess just understanding that everyone has a way of being, and just not being able to force them into any certain thing, but let them understand that if we did this route, this is what the results would be. But if we did this route, this is what, and I know this is the result. So I've been able to I'm a professional, so I'm very direct with people, but I've been able to say it with a smile, which is one of the things I learned that have probably made me a lot of money. Before, I used to be direct to people and I'd be serious. Now I've learned actually you could be direct and just say it with a smile and get the same result, get better results, and they don't want to not be around you, because to continue staying in business, we have to get along to some level. We're not going to be best friends all the time, but we gotta be able to trust each other. So a lot of it's when we talk about that those kind of challenges, is most of it's just people problems. That's what stops.
How did you learn that thing about there's some people I basically despise them. They just seem to be able to go through, like all will go to hell in a handbasket, and they'll go, ha, 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 ha. Not a problem, like the Australians. It's like, yeah, no worries, baby. No big deal. No matter what happened, cut off my arm. Oh, no big deal. Get a little blood. I didn't lose much blood. I got another hand left. Just whatever it is, they seem to have this unbelievable good humor. And I tell you, I have found it tough when you're a leader and you're responsible for the numbers, and you're working to do things like make sure people stay on track, they don't get distracted. You're trying to create those margins and keep the train running. When things go haywire, it's just a little hard to go, that's funny. I knew something was going to go crazy today, so that's it. Well, no big deal. Back to work, everybody. And I've just always despised those people because they had a stability I didn't have. I like to think
it took me years. It
Yeah.
took me years.
Yeah.
And again, it had to do with levels of stability. So, we trained our businesses and our leaders to get results. And so if results was coming in, I was happy, and we had a good flow. If results stopped coming in, then, we had challenges and we had issues. So we kind of like learned together that we don't want to go down that road. And so, it takes a lot of work, and It's constantly adjusted, and sometimes new problems will pop up. But the majority of them we deal with the same way, which is just dealing with that problem, but understanding there's 99 other things we got to do, or 90 other things we got to focus on, not just that one problem. Okay, and so there's a bigger picture behind it. So there's times where it gets a little bit white on rice leadership, if you want to call it, but that's normal.
I think what you said there, Chris, is right on the money, that you learn to keep the big picture in mind. And there's going to be distractions, and it's easier to be philosophical about when things go wrong if you have the margins. And so that relates to what I've always thought, that like a well-run business, if you're running your business in the right way, you're making it as easy as possible for you to run the business, because you're minimizing the opportunity for a lot of things to be going wrong all the time. Poorly run businesses, the leaders running around like a fireman putting out all the fires all the time. The tyranny of the urgent, the last minute nightmare of the last 30 minutes, has changed your whole day. And so you try and create a situation and a flow in there, and get people around you that have some stability and work ethic, so that they're, going to help you stay on track. But no, we're going to get distracted. Things going to happen. I won't go into all the things that are just in our office staff, things that happen that, when you got a collection of people, one of everything happens, and you kind of absorb and keep on moving. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you can't get mad at them because, something normal in life happened to them. It's like get COVID or something like that. When we had top guy in the office went to a training school recently, came back and gave everybody COVID in the office. It's like, thank you. But he had it too. He didn't want it. What are you going to do? And so you just live through these things, and you can do that if you keep your eye on the big picture. And I use that, by the way, I first learned that in construction coming out of Georgia Tech, is more like, this down cycles, you're low on money and you can't get financing or whatever. But if you can live through it, you've got your crews, you've got your subcontractors. If you can just keep a minimum of activity and get it through the downtime, when you come out of that and business is booming, you still have all your key people working for you, and you can really hit it into overdrive, And so these things apply across the board. And so thanks for that. I can't wait to get you back on here, and we're going to start talking about how you got the entrepreneurial bug and where that came from, and then how you got into doing your own businesses. So thanks, Chris.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
If you enjoyed what you've heard and are dead serious about finding out for yourself exactly how this works in the real world, I've taken the most valuable business lessons I've learned over 40 years and put them into something for you to watch. Go to whiteelementing.com/webinar now in order to move up as fast as possible. I'm Larry Weidel, and I run the $1 Million Mastermind. Go, go, go.